Hi, my name is Chad Holm. I'm a professional bowyer. I've been building homemade traditional bows for about 9 years, and I also teach school. The two jobs complement each other very well. I'm with kids all day long. I'm surrounded by 25 kids in and out of my gym, and at the end of the day I look forward to coming out to the shop by myself and working with materials and doing something that's not really related to kids. It affects the traditional archery community, which is a nationwide thing. We don't have a great following of traditional archers in Minnesota. In Nisswa School, we have an after-school archery program for grades 3 and 4. We have about 110 3rd and 4th graders, and we always have right around 52, 53 kids sign up. And we end the year by going to Mills Fleet Farm, the indoor shooting center, to shoot the realistic 3D targets there, and just to give the kids some exposure of archery beyond the school setting. I've always had a passion for hunting. Growing up in a hunting family, outdoor pursuits were big. When the bow hunting season ended, I just didn't want it to be done. So I started shooting traditional bows, making my own wood arrows, making my own leather goods, my own knives, just to kind of prolong the season. Right out of our home, we're about 7 miles south of Brainerd. I have a shop that's attached to the house. It's about 24 by 24 with an addition I put on a few years ago for a spray booth and wood storage, which is 12 by 22. Well, first of all, you have to select the materials, and they have to be the right materials for the job. For a heavier poundage bow, I make sure that I have straight grained wood. So prepping materials, ordering materials, making sure you have the materials on hand is the first step. And then you prepare them all to glue up. You decide what poundage you want the bow to be, and that determines the thickness of the laminations that go on the bow limb right here. There's a lot of bowyers out there. There's probably 100, 150 in the country that do what I do, and most of them are making a nice shooting bow. The thing that separates bowyers is their finished work, because that's what people see. And you have to make sure everything is sanded smoothly. The exotic wood that I use in the handles area are real porous woods. You got to fill that grain so everything's level before you spray it. And it's the finished product is what people see, and that's what separates one bowyer from the next. It depends from year to year, but the last 5 years I've settled in at right around 65. The most I've ever built in a year is 73. You know, anything over 60 is about right for my schedule. I advertise in 2 magazines. I have a banner on 2 traditional archery forum type websites. We put on about 4,000 miles a year, traveling to shows, taking the family, and just getting out in front of people and meeting people, because people are buying not just your product, they're buying it from you, and they have to know you and trust you and feel like you're someone that they want to have you build their project for them.
Okay.
Hey, Carlin.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Great, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. It's always wonderful to see my volunteers here.
And Deb Anderson is the one that got me involved at volunteering at Essentia St. Joe's.
Hi, nice to meet you. Glad you're here too. I love having Carlin as a volunteer. She's been volunteering for many, many years. Boy, 20, 25, something like that. Wonderful volunteer, goes around and sees all the patients, and go volunteers.
Okay. And this is Ann Bertok. She's the patient advocate. And this is where I check in each day. Hi, I'm Carlin. I'm Uriah's grandma. I'm a retired RN and also a former school nurse. And the job that we're going to be showing you about is the patient advocate at Essentia St. Joe's. By helping the patients as a patient advocate, having more positive experience here at Essentia, The research shows that they will get healthier quicker and can return to our community quicker, which has a positive effect on our communities. Of course, talking to the patients. They come from all over the U.S., not just locally, and they all have their own special story to tell you. And it's very exciting to listen to their stories and also to gain wisdom from them. The other exciting part, quite basically, is when their codes are called here at the hospital. You have a code blue, which is for cardiac arrests. You have a stroke code and everybody races to the emergency room. Or you have a code gray, and that's when somebody has eloped. Then you get to see the hospital in top fast action, and it's very exciting, a real adrenaline rush. I decided to be a patient advocate because my mom, about a year ago, she was 90 years old, broke her hip and came into the hospital for 11 days. She had a fair experience, but there are a few things that I felt that could have been better to help future patients. I decided to become a patient advocate and take the positive road. I'm a retired RN, a certified childbirth educator, a certified instructor for CPR and first aid, and a parish nurse. My job is located at Central St. Joe's, and I go to all the floors. That includes OB, intensive care, and the emergency department each time I come to be a patient advocate.
My name is Mike Gordon, and I am a Command Sergeant Major in the Minnesota Army National Guard, and I work at Camp Ripley. Well, my job at Camp Ripley for the National Guard affects the community in two ways. The first way it really affects the community is we're a very large employer. A lot of people in the Brainerd, Baxter, and Little Falls communities work here at Camp Ripley, so we have a large economic impact on the communities that we serve. And secondly, as a member of the Minnesota National Guard, here at Camp Ripley, we support the community if there's ever natural disasters or emergencies or tornadoes or floods all over the state of Minnesota. So in that way, we're here to partner with and support the community when they need us to come and help. Well, the most interesting part of my job probably is all the different people and organizations that I get to work with every day. We train soldiers from the Minnesota National Guard and many other services here at Camp Ripley and get them prepared to deploy or go on active duty and do their jobs here. We train all of the other services as well. We have Air Force that trains here, Navy, and the Marines. Also interesting is we have a number of state agencies that work and train here every day that I get to work with, including the Minnesota State Patrol, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources has offices here, and some of the other community agencies like local law enforcement, like the local Sheriff's Department and Police Department, also come here and train. When I was in college, I was looking for a part-time job and looking for a way to help me pay for school. So I went and talked to a National Guard recruiter, and by coming to work for the National Guard, I worked for them part-time, 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks every summer. And to do that and sign an agreement that said I would do that for 6 years, then they would help pay for my college. So I came to work for the National Guard part-time, and after finishing college and going out and working a couple different jobs, I had the opportunity to come work for the Minnesota National Guard full-time. And so I ended up doing this full-time, and I've been in the military now almost 25 years, and I've worked full-time for the Minnesota National Guard for about 18 years. My civilian education, I went to high school down in Owatonna, Minnesota, graduated from high school, and I went to college at the University of Minnesota Duluth and got my 4-year degree there in finance and economics. And then I'm currently finishing up my master's degree at St. Cloud State University, a master's of business administration in management, and I have about 4 weeks of class left, and I'll be done with that as well. Thank you for taking the time to interview me. I appreciate it.
Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do for a living?
Well, my name is Corey Hins. I am a system administrator at Central Lakes College, which means I'm in charge of the computers and the infrastructure to support those computers.
How is your job interesting and helpful?
Technology is ever changing, so there's always something new to learn in technology. As far as helpful, what I do here at the college as far as deploying computers and infrastructure and technology to support those machines aids in students pursuing their degrees and getting their education.
What made you pursue this occupation?
I've always had an interest in computers all the way back to the 80s when the first personal computers came out, such as the Apple IIe's. It's just been a passion, so kind of pursue your passion.
How does your role make the community a better place?
I believe that the biggest impact my role as a system administrator had on the community was when I worked for the public school district. I oversaw the construction of the fiber that was laid throughout the Brainerd, if you want to call it metropolitan area, in collaboration with Central Lakes College, Consolidated Telephone, Essentia Health, and of course Crow Wing County and the school district. And that fiber that was laid has actually extended the high-speed internet coverages to many businesses and homes throughout the Brainerd and Baxter area.
Where is your job or business located?
Currently, I'm employed at Central Lakes College. I'm the lead systems administrator here, and the campus is just pretty close to the high school. It's right across the river on College Drive in kind of southwest Brainerd.
What is your educational background?
So I'm a Central Lakes College alumni. Back when I graduated here, I was Brainerd Community College. I did a 2-year degree here, and then I went on to study at Northwestern Electronics Institute in Minneapolis, where I received a computer science degree.
Are you ever frustrated with what you do?
Well, I would say in any job you have puzzles that you have to deal with, and in technology it seems like we're problem solving every day, and sometimes those problems you don't get them resolved in a day, and that can be frustrating, coming back the next day knowing you've got this problem. However, you know, another day brings a fresh mind, and sometimes you do need to just walk away from a frustrating situation and look at it another day, and away you go.
Do you think you chose the right career path?
I would say so. After nearly 20 years in the field here, I'm still excited about what I do. Technology is changing so fast with mobility and handheld devices these days. I think it's just going to continue to boom at even a faster rate, so it's ever changing. There's always something new to learn.
Is there anything you would change about your job?
I don't think so. I enjoy what I do, and it has enough change on its own that I have to deal with. So, no, I think I'm happy with what I do and where I'm working.
Yes, my name is Nate Peters, and I'm a paramedic for North Memorial Ambulance Service in Brainerd. Obviously, we provide medical transportation for sick and injured people. That's probably the obvious answer. But I think one of the things it does is it provides people who are having a bad day, whether it's a life-changing event or whether it's a temporary illness or injury that they'll recover from. It provides them with a sense of that someone is there to take care of their problems, and it makes them feel a little better about the bad day they're having or the problem that's at hand. And the biggest thing we can do to help people is just give them a kind of a calming voice and a reassuring answer that, you know, things are going to be okay. You know what makes my job the most interesting is, number one, it's the variety. Unlike sitting in an office and doing the same thing every day, our job starts, you know, at a point, whether it's 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 in the evening. We don't know where it's going to go from there. We start off by checking our truck and making sure our equipment's all operating and clean and ready to go. And then we wait for the radio to tell us where to go. And to me, that's what's very interesting, is I never know whether in the next 5 minutes I'm going to be down in a ditch trying to help someone who's trapped in a car, or whether maybe I'll be helping an injured elderly person up off the floor. It can take quite a wide variety of calls. I find that very interesting. Question. When I was 13 or 14 years old, I don't know exactly what drew me to it, but when I was about that age, I remember telling my parents that this is what I thought would be interesting to do. I guess from then on I kind of paid attention to it, whether it was the different towns or cities that we lived in. I paid attention to who the ambulance providers were, the EMS providers were in that town. In some cases I would go on tours, you know, of their station or their base, and I would talk to them, and I guess I kind of just developed an interest that way. It's like I said, the variety of the changing nature of the work always interested me. And like I said, it's been what I wanted to do for almost as long as I can remember, so it's always been an interest of mine. It's proven to be a pretty fun and rewarding job for the most part. In order to be an EMT basic, which is the first level of ambulance-based EMS training, you just have to have a high school diploma. From there you get your EMT training, which is about a 6-week course on average. There's classroom, and then you have to do some clinical training as well. And after that's done, that's usually a prerequisite for most paramedic courses. The paramedic course that I took is about a year long. It is a certificate program, so I'm a nationally registered emergency medical technician paramedic. So that was about a year, or 13 months long, and then I did a couple months, about 2 months worth of clinicals for that as well. The clinicals consisted of riding in an ambulance primarily, but also quite a bit of the OB. I watched a few deliveries, and then some surgical stuff too, where you just basically observe that kind of stuff. So. I work primarily out of this station, which is in Brainerd. However, our region for North Memorial covers 5 different towns. We have 7 ambulances: Pine River, Longville, Cross Lake, and Aiken. And then as well as we have 3 crews on at all times in Brainerd. Primarily I work out of Brainerd here. That means we go down to Fort Ripley, down towards Piers, up to Nisswa, over to Pillager. So it's kind of a pretty big geographical area that we cover here.
My name's Jeannie Johnson, and I'm a 4th grade teacher and a business owner.
And I'm Bob Johnson, and I'm a 4th grade teacher and a business owner as well.
We own a retail store in downtown Nisswa, and the name of the store is Meg's Cabin. We do quite a few things at our store that impact the community, such as...
We employ 4 retired ladies throughout the year to run our store.
Sponsor the turtle races every year. People often come in and they have something that they are trying to raise money for, and they'll ask us if we can either give a gift card from our store or an item. Sometimes it's specific, sometimes it's not. And then last but not least, we bring quite a few items from our store into our classroom and spread the love and share them with our 4th graders. Well, I did not want to start a business. That would be my husband here. He always kind of had a wish to open a retail spot in Nisswa, and since we own a building in downtown Nisswa, the opportunity presented itself.
So we opened Meg's Cabin, and we thought it'd be a great opportunity for our children to learn how business runs.
Being a native of Brainerd, I went to what was called Brainerd Community College, BCC, many years ago. It's now called CLC. And then I transferred to Gustavus Adolphus College, where I received a Bachelor of Arts degree in education. Then I furthered my education, getting a MA or master's degree while I was teaching kindergarten in Brainerd.
I received my Bachelor of Science degree from Morehead State University in elementary education. Got my Master's of Science degree from Bemidji State University in elementary education. I enjoy meeting new people in the store when we work in the summer and teaching my children different aspects of the business as we work.
And my very favorite thing to do is going to market, which is where we get to buy all the things to fill our store up with.
Meg's Cabin is named after my 3 daughters, Maggie, Emma, and Grace.
We have 5 children, by the way.
2 of them were not included.
Too bad. It was Daniel and Christopher. But we did make up for it.
We put their initials in the sign and the artwork around it.
Well, if someone actually dares to shoplift from our store, I have a secret weapon. It's known as the Daniel. Out of nowhere, he comes at them and brings them back with whatever item they took, and they never steal again.
Hi, my name is Kathy Lee, and I'm a conversion coordinator at Ascensus. Ascensus is the largest independent retirement and college savings services provider in the country. The area I work at in Ascensus provides 401k plan record keeping for employers, which encourages employees to save for retirement. A 401k plan is a type of profit-sharing plan that it has a deferral component. A deferral is money that's taken out of your paycheck before taxes and is put right into the retirement plan. My job is located in Brainerd on the east side of town at the Ascensus South Campus location. We have 2 different locations in Brainerd. One's called the North Campus and one's called the South Campus. There's actually offices in 11 different cities throughout the country, such as Dresher, Pennsylvania, Middleton, Wisconsin, Atlanta, Georgia, Fargo, North Dakota. But Brainerd is actually the largest office for Ascensus, and we are a major employer in the area. I really enjoy working with numbers, analyzing data, and problem solving, which is a major component of my position. I graduated with a BS degree from St. Cloud State University, but I kind of took a long path to get there. I initially thought about going into nursing, so worked part-time at a nursing home in high school. Then I decided I'm not going to do that, so I went to college with the thought of going into social work or possibly occupational therapy. After receiving my Associate of Arts degree, I took some time off, worked in an office as an office manager and also in an accounting department, and discovered I loved working with numbers. After that, I went back to school to St. Cloud to get my degree. The ups would be I really enjoy working with my team of associates and doing the job that I do. A downfall of the business is it's very cyclical. We're very busy at the beginning of the month and the middle of the month when plans convert to our company. But then there's other times of the month we're not quite as busy. The views shared here are mine and do not reflect the views of my employer. But I really think we affect the community in 2 different ways. Locally, there's a lot of career opportunities at Ascensus here in Brainerd. There's careers in marketing, accounting, management, business analysts, programmers. It's a very casual work environment, many advancement opportunities, and a lot of training. There's also volunteer opportunities in our community. We're offered 8 hours per year of volunteer time off to go work in the community. We also partner with Junior Achievement to work in the schools. We volunteer at Sharing Bread Soup Kitchen. We have jeans weeks, which are you pay $5 in a week to wear jeans for the week. That money goes to a charitable organization. We do roadway cleanup. But I think most importantly, my job with everyone at a census affects millions of participants that we provide services for their saving for retirement. With a proper plan for retirement, people can enjoy doing the things that they love to do.
Hello to everyone in Mr. Reed's multimedia class. You have an incredible opportunity to learn new and exciting things about technology in this class, so pay attention. You're going to learn some things that you can put to good use right away. My name is Steve Lund. Well, I'd love to take this opportunity to embarrass my son Connor. I think he does a pretty good job of that himself, so I'll leave that up to him. I'm the Director of Business Services for the Brainerd Public Schools, and actually you're sitting in one of our 12 school buildings right now. You're sitting in Forest View, which holds approximately 2,000 students and about 200 staff members. Our school district is about a third of the size of the state of Rhode Island. We educate about 7,000 students every day with about 1,000 staff members, including teachers and cooks and custodians and secretaries and of course principals, and all these people that you see every day are here to help with your education and get you prepared for whatever it is you're going to be doing in your future. I'm part of that team, and likely you'll never probably see me because I'm very seldom out in the school buildings, but what I do is I take care of everything money related to make sure that our school district runs. All total, with 7,000 students and 12 different school buildings, we run an operating budget that's nearly $1/10 of $1 billion. And we, every day, there's about 1,000 staff members that get up and come to the schools to make sure that we serve our students well. I'm one piece of that, okay? So whether it's teachers or custodians or cooks or bus drivers, each one of us plays an important part in your education. While you'll see very few of us from a day-to-day basis, we're all working in concert to make sure that we're providing the best education we can. My job doesn't necessarily exist unless we have good teachers that are teaching students. My job doesn't exist unless we have a bus driver that picks the students up and brings them to school. My job doesn't exist unless we have cooks making sure that you're having a good, healthy lunch. My job doesn't exist unless we have a principal that gets after some students. But in turn, their jobs don't exist without me making sure that we bring money in and pay our expenses all on time each and every day. So just like any professional sports team, the school district acts just as a team like that. And that's true with any organization. Everybody's position in any organization is one piece of a very important team. And everybody brings individual skills and abilities to that position that they have on the team. But that person in and of themselves couldn't do it. There's no way that I could do everything possible in the school district to educate 7,000 kids. There's no way Mr. Reed could do that. There's no way that any one of the cooks or the custodians or the bus drivers or principal each by themselves could do what we have to do all together. We all rely on each other to make sure that everything runs every day.
My name is Eli Dewire. I'm a police officer for Breezy Point. Public safety or law enforcement cannot be overstated as its effect on the community. We perform or are requested to do a variety of things for the community. Everything from medicals to enforcement of the law to community service. It's not the same thing every day. The tasks and what is asked and required of you is different. And after 9/11, 2011, I decided to go into law enforcement. I felt that I wanted to help my community more directly. I have an associate's degree, I have a bachelor's degree, and I have another 2-year certification. So I have about 6 years of higher education above high school. Of course, Breezy Point, that's where we're at now. This is, we're speaking in this is the hard interrogation room. And this room is meant for suspects of a possible crime that may get violent. And so there's not much to it, as you can tell. The chair that Sophia is sitting in right now is bolted to the floor, and it's done that for the safety of the officers, so that the suspects or the subject can't pick up the chair and throw it at you and such. The table is also bolted down. This room is always being recorded, audio and video. Even this interview is being recorded. And we just have to go back and indicate we wanted to save it. The best part of my job is when I have a direct impact on someone's life, whether it be a medical where I can help someone directly, or sometimes it's just little things. Including my boots and everything, this equipment I have on is approximately 30 pounds.
I'm Greg Davis. I'm a lung doctor and an intensive care doctor, so that's called a pulmonologist and an intensivist. I'm very fortunate in that I have a job that I get to interact with members of the community every day. One of the things I do as a lung doctor is I often counsel people to help them stop smoking or help change their behaviors in other positive ways. When I work in the intensive care unit, I can help people when they're acutely sick and help get them back to a state of good health. Well, in the intensive care unit, we do a lot of different procedures. Sometimes people will have very low blood pressure, and we'll need to give them lots of basically salt water in their veins. That's called saline. How we do that most commonly is we take a large IV catheter called a central venous catheter and we put it into your jugular vein in your neck. We thread that down. You can see on this heart model here, this blue vein, and this tip sits right above the heart. And then we can give potent medicines to hold up your blood pressure or fluids, like I mentioned, that will help people feel better and get better quickly. One of the other things we often do in the intensive care unit is that we have to secure people's airways because they're having trouble breathing. And for that, we can use an endotracheal tube. I have a special device that allows us to look into your throat, and then we can thread this down into your main airway or trachea, and we blow up this balloon, and it fits snugly. Then we can connect this end to a breathing machine called a ventilator, and we can help people breathe. One of the other specialized procedures that we have available at Essential Health that I'm able to do is what's called an electromagnetic navigation bronchoscopy. So if people have a small spot out in their lung, I have a special scope that I can go through people's throat or through their nose, and then I have some special equipment that allows me to navigate or drive out into their lung to right where the small spot is, and I can take a biopsy and we can get an answer as to what's causing that problem.